So, are you ready?
Sure. Ready as I think I'm ready as I'll ever be. I'm Earth Dancer. I'm from the Shawnee National Forest, which is the homeland of my heart. Right out of high school, I was just anticipating the day when the bell rang and I could leave that place forever and just start traveling. And I had a van and I traveled all around the country from the time I was almost 18 until my 21st birthday. And I had a little bit of money, not a lot, under 10 grand, sitting in a bank account for college, but college didn't seem like something I wanted to do. And I just left it sitting there like it didn't exist. And on my 21st birthday, I was driving through the desert somewhere in New Mexico or Arizona at night, and I just went, okay, I'm done traveling, I'm ready to go home. So I just headed straight home and started looking for land, and I got 6 acres. Really deep into the forest, about a 45-minute trip to town for supplies, so really far out there. And just started hand clearing it and building a house. I was living in my van just barely made it to the land, and it was like, okay, it's time to put it on blocks, it's done. It was just, at the end of its days, and so I lived out of the van while I started building the house. And that house building went on for about 6 years, and during that time I created a garden and got chickens and slowly added some small wattage solar power, running water, things like that, moved into this century. So I've always known that I wanted to just grow food and be as simple as possible. And when I met Michael, our visions kind of came together.
My name is Michael Longfield. I'm 25 years old. I live in the beautiful land of the Shawnee National Forest in southern Illinois, and I'm a herbalist, permaculturist, and entrepreneur. I first got interested in natural ways of living when I was about 12 years old, when me and my friend would spend a lot of time in the forest near our home. We built a tree house there that we spent a lot of time in, and we began fantasizing about living in a new world that we could build up within the forest. And through that inspiration, we began studying the wild plants in the area and loved the idea of being able to sustain ourselves without the culture, the mainstream culture that we found so oppressive. I got interested in eco-villages and alternative communities. I was very involved in punk circles and activist circles, so I got to meet people doing a lot of different things. And so since then I've been just living alternatively and studying that way of life. I've always known since about that time that I would never be a part of Babylon, a part of the dominant culture. I would create the world that I wanted my children to inherit and begin living that way. Instead of waiting for society to change, I would just build the type of world that I would want to inhabit. Soon after graduating high school, I began traveling around the country and hanging out with alternative communities, living in the woods, exploring, and I eventually realized that I wanted to root somewhere. I wanted to, instead of just traveling around, I wanted to really begin building. And I put that out into the universe that I wanted to find somewhere that I could root, call home, my acupuncture point on the planet. And eventually that call did find me. So I traveled across the country to live with a woman that I was falling in love with. And then the space, our vision outgrew the space. We wanted to do something bigger than our 6 acres could provide.
So we started manifesting the perfect piece of land, which was like, it had to meet all these requirements: elevation, water, just so many different, proximity to nature and distance from industry. stuff like that. And when we found this place, we knew it was right, and started just putting the vibes out into the universe, and it all fell into place. And so now we're sitting on 160 acres, but it's more like, thousands of acres, because we had joined national forests on all sides. So now we have this beautiful land to co-create with nature on. It's pretty exciting.
We moved to Interwoven in September of 2014. It is now summer of 2016, so this is our second summer. We decided on the name Interwoven because we wanted to find a name that would encompass everything that we were about. There was nothing very simple that we could say that could summarize our vision. It's such a grand vision. It's about changing, the dominant culture, the culture of oppression. It's about changing humans' relationship to nature, to ecology. And Interwoven just summed it up as this intertwining of reconnecting to land, coming together with different ideas, different people, different tools, different medicines, different foods, and it really takes our vision and many other people's vision that resonates with reconnecting to nature. It's not one person, it's not one idea, it's based on us all coming together to create an interwoven web of resiliency, connection. You could also look at it, we want to create resilient human ecosystems. And the reason ecosystems are so resilient is there's so much intertwining of functions. Many plants perform multiple different functions. Every plant gets their needs from many different sources. It creates this very tight-knit web where if one of those things was no longer available, something else would be able to pick up that slack.
Permaculture is a big, broad term to me that really, when you boil it down to its bare essence, means that you are following nature so closely that you begin to mimic her in your actions. So that can relate to so many different aspects of life, from housing and energy to water, food, recreation. I mean, everything can be permaculture if it all fits together in a natural way and is restorative, or at least sustainable to nature. It is co-creation with nature. And so many tribal peoples know this already, but I think that our culture has come so far away from it that we have to relearn ourselves and our place in nature. And permaculture is relearning ourselves and our place in nature.
Recently, how I've been thinking about it is permaculture is this vision for a future where we can live in harmony with nature while simultaneously meeting our human needs. We examine natural ecosystems and we learn from them. Why is it that no one has to water a forest? Why is it that no one plants weeds, herbicides, fungicides of forest, yet it's so resilient to drought and makes so much food if you can only read the language? So what are those natural patterns? Then we'll see which natural patterns apply to our goals, and we'll start using them to design science with ethics. And the three ethics are care for the earth, care for people, and return of surplus.
I guess my way is a little bit more traditional, how grandma did it gardening, and then Michael has kind of gone into radical permaculture, where he is just like immersed in taking it to the next level and experimenting and doing things that are pretty new that people haven't really done before.
We're doing a lot of different projects on the farm in order to move the movement of permaculture forward. Permaculture is essentially burying wood beneath soil in order to fill that soil with the ingredients that it needs to have lots of biologically active soil. The only difference between good soil and bad soil is life. When we bury big chunks of wood, they break down. It's a composting effect that is happening. It is feeding the soil life, so we're just injecting the soil with massive amounts of life. Simultaneously, that wood is acting like a sponge. As it breaks down, it absorbs the moisture during the wet season, and then during the dry season, that wood releases the moisture into the soil. So it's preventing drought. If you build your hugelkultur mounds tall enough, if you bury enough wood, you can resist months and months of drought. There's also this effect of heat is now being generated from that composting effect. So now our soil is warming up earlier in the season. It's cooling down later in the season. So we're then able to extend our growing season by working with hugelkultur. We'll take the topsoil and the paths from the paths of the bed and pile it up where we want our garden bed to be. So now in our paths there's no topsoil, so there's less likely a chance of weeds growing in our paths. And now our garden bed has, about twice as much topsoil. So now we have more good soil. We make these garden beds about 4 feet wide and as long as we desire in the application. By being 4 feet wide, they're now double reach beds where you can reach the middle of the bed on either side of the bed. Now that our garden beds are raised, they have better drainage. So if it was a really wet spring, many people would complain that their tomato plants are not flourishing because their feet are too wet. But instead we have raised beds, so there's better drainage. So even if it rains an enormous amount, our plants will never get wet feet. Also, because they're slightly raised up, they're more easier to access, they're aesthetically beautiful, and they resist frosting because frost wants to move downhill. So now our plants are raised up slightly, they won't be in a frost pocket, the frost will leave the garden beds. This can be a viable alternative to industrial farming, that we can realistically feed people with perennial crops.
The goal is to grow a lot of food and to beyond sustain ourselves so that we'll have extra. We can build a longer table, feed more people, and exhibit to people that it's totally doable to do large-scale restorative food growing and to interact with the land in such a way as to create vast abundance, kind of like in Eden. Sometimes it feels like, oh my gosh, the to-do list is so long and we have so much to do and it's going to take so long. And it does. It takes so long, but yet when you look back at the end of the year, you've accomplished so much. You get more than you think you're going to get done finished in a year. So it's pretty radical how much we've done in less than 2 years. I mean, we've only been here one full growing season. We're halfway into a second growing season, and we're seeing all these new gardens emerge and structures that are built with wood directly from the land. And yeah, how do I feel about how far it's come? Is that the question? Pretty good. I'm feeling good. What I like is that we're not doing it alone. Even though the vision is like our venture, many people want to interact with that vision because it offers something that I think humanity is really seeking right now, a way to reconnect deeply in a place-based way, to really interact with a piece of land and from seed to harvest, see what you can do. And so a lot of people are coming here, and not just for the gardening aspects or the food growing aspects of permaculture, but for the building and for the community aspects. And so it's good to know that we're not alone, and that every person who comes here to explore whatever it is that is in their heart to draw them here somehow we're teaching them and they're teaching us. And our velocity increases when we work together. And that is really cool. That's why we all need to be really working together now. Time is of the essence. So to see that burning desire in people to come and learn this stuff and to come help build it, to see what it can become is pretty special. I feel a lot of times like the people who show up are old friends. Like, so easy to just coexist with them, you know. Although there is like a certain leadership quality that we have to, you know, we have to orient people to what's going on in the land and help them understand how to interact with it. So there's that dynamic, which is always interesting because it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of work, actually. It's a lot of work to help people work here. So it's almost like a management role in a way, but it's really awesome. So we have a lot of random people coming through for WOOF, and random people we've met on Medicine Tribe who aren't members of WOOF. And then we also have all of the random people, and it's like a super random, you know, possibility machine running the school bus lodging. So that's through Airbnb. It has been awesome. Like we've had, I just booked somebody from Belgium today. There have been people on their honeymoon, their first day. There was people from London and Ireland here. So it's awesome. It's like we live in a very remote location, and a lot of people think of, you know, you have to go to the cities, you have to spend money to get around culture and different types of people and have fun. I don't feel that way. I feel like we can just like bring it here, bring it home.
To me, community is not about controlling other people or oppression. It's people coming together in awareness to want to create a better life together. So it's what do I have to bring to the table? And by that weaving, we can all benefit. We can then all be more resilient, more connected. Community to me is reconnecting with people at a real human level we've been slowly being pulled apart through modern culture.
I think that the ideal village has interactions that are based on nature and on compassion and understanding and work and relaxation. And I see a village as somewhere that you can let your children play and know that they're safe and know that you're not the only one that can offer them wisdom or understanding about the world, that there are elders, there are people with different perspectives, and that those people come together in such a way as to respect one another deeply and honor differences, but have something at the core that is deeply loving and compassionate and healing. I hope that this place can become a beacon of what is possible in interaction with land, and will become a place where we can show that our human interactions with nature in order to survive don't have to be ugly. They don't have to pillage. They don't have to create carbon. They can restore, they can repair, they can sequester carbon. You know, we can live beyond sustainably.
Happiness is following your heart. Happiness is doing what you love. Happiness is fulfilling your mission while being connected to truth. It's so important right now that everyone who is awake and aware on this planet, who cares, does everything they possibly can to make a just and sustainable future. And when you attune to your truth, follow your path, have a mission like that, amazing energy and blessings can come to you. When I look at the land here, it makes me feel grateful, and it makes me feel excited for what's to come. And I see the vision unfolding, and it's very energizing. Quit waiting for permission and start enacting your vision. Start living your mission. Start building the world that you want to see. We can't just wait for politicians or big corporations to start growing food the way we want it or conducting business the way we want it. We need to go out there, live by example, and create a world that is worth inhabiting. Everyone just needs to stop talking and start going out there and doing the hard work of building. We are artists. All humans are artists. We're happy when we're building. Build things. Get out there and construct, build, nourish. Yeah.